During the final years of our high school, our history teacher, Mrs. Johnson, was making plans to explore our school's historical building. This old building had hosted numerous stories and memories throughout the years. For the students, this was a great opportunity to get to know our school's history more intimately. On the day of the excursion, we arrived at school early in the morning. Mrs. Johnson provided us with information about the history of the building. The architecture of the building was still impressive, but the marks of time were evident everywhere. First, we explored the old classrooms of the school. The historic blackboards, worn-out desks, and chairs were still in place. The walls of the classrooms were adorned with graduation photos and student projects from years gone by. However, the atmosphere in these classrooms was intriguing. Among the students, rumors circulated about strange events occurring in these rooms. Some claimed to have heard chilling sounds, even outside of class hours. Others said they had seen strange lights seeping out of the classrooms late at night. These rumors only fueled our curiosity about the building's history. During our tour, Mrs. Johnson paused for a moment as we climbed the school stairs and seemed to gaze into the distance. When we asked her what was happening, she replied, "This place has borne witness to so many student stories over the years that sometimes it feels like the echoes of the past still linger here." Her words gave us the impression that the building still carried the imprints of the events that had transpired within its walls. Finally, we reached the oldest part of the school. This section had remained unused for years and resembled a storage area for old items. Mrs. Johnson told us that students referred to this section as the nest of spirits, and especially in the dark, whispers and spine-chilling stories were told about this place. As we spent time in the storage area, a strange feeling overcame us as we heard odd sounds around us. Some students claimed to have heard faint moaning-like noises coming from the walls and corners. There was a moment of silence and our eyes turned toward each other. Everyone wore an expression of unease. After the tour, students began discussing their experiences. Some insisted that they had indeed heard strange sounds, while others believed it was merely a product of their imagination. However, that day, we felt that we had made a deeper connection with the school's history and that some secrets were still being guarded within its walls. This excursion had provided us with a new understanding of our school's history and its mysterious past. Our school's old building was known for its historical and enchanting architecture. However, the basement of the building had always been surrounded by mystery. Among the students, there were rumors circulating that strange events occurred in this basement. These rumors, coupled with the eerie and mysterious history of this part of the school, had turned it into a legendary place. My close friends and I didn't really believe these rumors. We regarded them as childish horror stories and often laughed them off. That is, until one day when we came face to face with the mysterious secrets of that basement. The fateful day arrived when a group of brave friends and I decided to venture into the basement. We grabbed our flashlights and began to climb the stairs. With each step, the excitement and apprehension inside us grew. When we reached the door to the basement, we could sense the enigma behind it, but we encouraged each other and opened the door. As we opened the door, we saw that the basement was filled with old and dusty items. Ancient shelves, antique furniture, and unused relics were lined up in this place. As we illuminated the surroundings with our flashlights, one of our friends claimed to hear strange sounds. At first we thought he was joking, but the sounds became progressively clearer and more distinct. Suddenly, a hair-raising whisper was heard. We all froze because the whisper seemed to be circling around us. When we turned our eyes towards the source of the sound, we saw that a bookshelf was shaking abruptly. My heart began to race because no one had touched the shelves. The bookshelf shook and then suddenly crashed to the ground. With bewildered looks exchanged between us, we quickly decided to leave the basement. Suddenly, as we climbed the stairs, a sound as if the door was being slammed shut echoed from behind us. None of us turned back because we wanted to forget what we had experienced and leave this mystery behind us. The experiences we had that night had proven that the basement was indeed mysterious. After that day, nobody dared to venture into the basement. The rumors had become reality, and the basement of the school's old building had become an even more enigmatic place. Night was slowly descending, and the excitement of the major basketball tournament had enveloped the hallways of our school. Most students were in high spirits, heading towards the court to support their respective teams. My teammates and I, on the other hand, had gathered in the locker room for another crucial match. Tonight we could bring glory to our school by winning just one game, and our motivation was soaring. We opened the door to the locker room and stepped inside. The lights were on, but an eerie silence had settled within. The usual banter and laughter that filled the room during warm-ups had been replaced by an unusual solemnity. There was tension in the air, and tonight felt different. We could all sense it. As we went through our final pre-game preparations, suddenly the lights in the room went out, and everything plunged into a pitch-black silence. Our hearts began to race as we found ourselves immobilized in the sharp darkness, unable to breathe. In the midst of our fear and anticipation, we heard a fast and irregular breathing sound coming from outside the room. Panic washed over all of us because this sound was coming from outside the room, and no one's breath could be that fast. Then, suddenly, the lights came back on and illuminated the room once again. Everyone was breathless and in sheer terror as we stared at each other. The room was empty. There was no one outside, but there was a peculiar mark on the wall. The mark outlined the contours of a human figure, but this figure was not entirely familiar. Its eyes were hollow, and it had an expression as if it had let out a deep, dark scream. In our panic, we looked at each other, showing each other the strange mark on the wall, and all of us asked the same question, "Who did this?" But no one had an answer. After that incident, we lost the game that night, and we never experienced the same feeling again. Whatever had happened began with that strange figure in the locker room, and none of us could unravel the mystery. This night of terror remained an unforgettable memory in the history of our school, and we still don't know who or what created that dark enigma in the locker room.